You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 Midday News starts now.
Thank you so much for joining us for WAAY 31 Midday News. I'm Megan Reyna.
And I'm Chris Tatum. We are so glad to have you with us. A monumental moment happening right now in our nation's capital. Katonchi Brown Jackson about to take the oath of office to the U.S. Supreme Court.
The first ever black woman to take oath of office there. Now, we're going to have our ceremony here in just a moment. The moment that this starts happening, we will take you live to it. But first, we want to get a check of that forecast real quick with Carson Meredith joining us on another summer day.
Nothing monumental about the weather.
Nothing monumental about today.
Same old summertime, guys. That is it here on this Midday Thursday. Show you what's happening out in Decatur. Got a mix of sun and clouds on the WAAY 31 Skycam network. Temperatures wherever you are now in the mid-80s, so we're warming up pretty quickly. 84 in Decatur. Here in Huntsville, it's now 85 degrees. Look at Muscle Shoals, 88 degrees already, and it's just now 11 o'clock. Scottsboro, Jackson County, checking in at 86 degrees right now. Clean sweep across the entire WAAY 31 Storm Tracker early warning radar network. There are a few showers developing up in Tennessee. I expect most of us to stay dry for the next hour or two, and then we'll start to have some of those pop-up storms bubbling up for the rest of your Thursday afternoon. So your lunch forecast, we'll see those temperatures climbing everywhere into the upper 80s by noon, 91 by 2 o'clock this afternoon, and I have actually bumped up our forecast high to 92. So another day with those highs in the 90s. And again, as far as that storm coverage and intensity today, it's going to be very similar to yesterday. 30% chance, not expecting severe weather, but we could see some heavier downpours and maybe some of those wind gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour. Unfortunately, the heat, the humidity, and the storms, none of them going anywhere anytime soon. We'll talk more about your holiday weekend forecast in a few minutes.
Thank you so much. 11:02 right now. I want to remind you that we are right now awaiting a monumental occasion happening in Washington, D.C. Katonchi Brown Jackson about to take her oath of office and become the first black woman ever on the U.S. Supreme Court. We will go there live. Right now, we're going to move on with some other news, but we will interrupt and get back to that when it starts to happen. Well, the man Bibb County investigators say shot 2 deputies, critically hurting one of them, now captured. They arrested 26-year-old Austin Patrick Hall around 8 o'clock this morning in Bibb County. Investigators say Hall shot those deputies after they tried to pull him over for driving a stolen car. That second deputy, we are so happy to report today, is expected to be okay. Well, people across Alabama are showing their support for those deputies right now. You can see right here dozens of people gathered last night, not long after that shooting outside the Bibb County Courthouse there, to pray for those deputies' recovery. And we do expect to learn more later today about those deputies as well. Well, one man is dead, another in jail after a shooting at a Huntsville gas station. Now, police say this happened at the Marathon convenience store near the intersection of University Drive and Henderson Road. They have not yet said what might have led to that shooting, nor have they released the victims nor accused shooters' names.
A man is dead after a police chase across 2 counties. It ended with a crash. It started in Morgan County, where Decatur police say 3 men robbed the Home Depot on Wimberley Drive. Police chased them along Highway 31 into Limestone County, where they eventually crashed. Police arrested one of them. Another is recovering at a hospital. No word on that third person involved in the case. Well, a man is in jail in Franklin County after deputies say he shot his girlfriend. Shannon Hacker is charged with attempted murder and assault. This happened Tuesday on Garrison Hollow Road. This is just outside of Red Bay. His girlfriend was taken to Huntsville Hospital with critical injuries. Right now, several Madison County deputies are in a field where an ATM was found abandoned. This is off Sharp Cove Road in Gurley. Investigators have not said where this ATM came from. We do know an ATM was stolen from a Madison credit union earlier this month. Again, they have not made that connection here yet, but we do have a crew on the way to this scene. We will update you as soon as we learn more information, but definitely bizarre to spot an ATM.
How do you hide an ATM? Well, Judge Katonchi Brown Jackson getting ready, as we've said earlier, to be sworn into the U.S. Supreme Court. She'll be the first black woman to hold that position. We're going to go ahead and listen into this monumental moment.
Katonchi Brown Jackson to become an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. But before we do so, I would like to recognize Dr. Patrick Jackson, who is here, her husband, and her daughters Talia and Layla. Administration of the oath is required both by the Constitution and by the Judiciary Act, and so we'll be delivering two oaths. I'll deliver the constitutional oath, and Justice Breyer will administer the statutory oath. There will be a formal investiture in the fall, but the oaths will allow Judge Jackson to undertake her duties, and she's been anxious to get to them without any further delay. Are you prepared to take the oath?
I am.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Katonchi Brown Jackson, do solemnly swear.
I, Katonchi Brown Jackson, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much. And now I'll turn things over to Justice Breyer.
Good. The judicial oath. Will you raise your right hand, please? Thank you. I, Katonchi Brown Jackson.
I, Katonchi Brown Jackson.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will administer justice.
That I will administer justice.
Without respect to persons.
Without respect to persons.
And do equal right.
And do equal right.
To the poor and to the rich.
To the poor and to the rich.
And that I will faithfully and impartially.
And that I will faithfully and impartially.
Discharge and perform.
Discharge and perform.
All the duties.
All the duties.
Incumbent upon me.
Incumbent upon me.
As an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States.
As an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Under the Constitution.
Under the Constitution.
And laws of the United States.
And laws of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And now, on behalf of all of the members of the court, I am pleased to welcome Justice Jackson to the court and to our common calling.
All right, you were just watching history right there, folks. Katonchi Brown Jackson swearing in ceremony. They're taking the oath of office, the first black woman to sit on the high court. I mean, it's really just...
Look at her there. That is the moment right there. The newest justice on the Supreme Court.
The 116th judge to sit on the Supreme Court. Definitely, again, monumental moment here in history. The president said he would do this. He said he would nominate a black woman to be on the Supreme Court, and he did, and she took a vote.
Not only did he nominate her, but she went through and made it through readily through the Senate hearings, and here she is, confirmed, and now officially having taken that oath, the newest Supreme Court justice. And how interesting, there have been so many Supreme Court rulings these past few days that she was not able to be a part of those, but we can only imagine the history now that she will be a part of as a part of that court. Taking Stephen Breyer's spot, of course, Justice is retiring, so that is how this came about. But we'll be back with more local news coming up. Welcome back, everybody. Right now, 12 minutes after 11, and new at midday, President Biden says the NATO Defense Alliance is stronger and more focused after a summit this week. Before departing the NATO summit in Madrid earlier today, the president announced new support for Ukraine as it works to fight off Russia's invasion there.
We provided Ukraine with nearly $7 billion in security assistance since I took office. The next few days, we intend to announce more than $800 million more, including new advanced Western air defense systems for Ukraine, more artillery and ammunition, counter battery radars, additional ammunition for the HIMARS multiple launch rocket systems we've already given Ukraine, and more HIMARS coming from other countries as well.
Well, NATO updated its mission statement that stating that Russia now poses the most significant threat to Allied security. Well, the U.S. State Department says it could actually be facing complications in getting 2 Alabama men back home after being held hostage in Ukraine. You're right now taking a look at some newly released video of Andy Tywin and Alexander Druki. The State Department says it does not recognize the group of Russian separatists right now holding those 2 Alabama men.
The State Department stressed to us that the United States does not recognize the DPR. They are not considered a legal entity or a country. They are a puppet government set up by Russia. And so we don't have any assets to enter into negotiations with them. We don't recognize them as a legal country.
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's willing to negotiate to further work to free those 2 Alabama men.
Well, Governor Kay Ivey is in the Rocket City getting ready to visit Mazda Toyota Manufacturing. This is happening around 1 this afternoon. The governor will talk about Alabama's largest economic development investment in the last decade, which of course is Mazda Toyota, and just the economic impact it's had on our state and here in North Alabama. Well, new at midday, new economic data appears to show inflation is holding steady. The Commerce Department reports the monthly personal consumption expenditures price index was 6.3% for the 12-month period that ended in May. That's the same as the reading from April, but down slightly from March. Fewer Americans are applying for unemployment benefits. The Labor Department reports jobless applications dipped to about 230,000 last week. That's about 2,000 less from the week before. First-time applications generally represent the number of layoffs. Today, several companies are looking to hire veterans in our community. The Huntsville-Madison County Chambers hosting a virtual job fair. It actually starts at 1 this afternoon and will last until 3. These are companies like Lockheed Martin, Toyota, and Crestwood Medical Center, all looking to fill positions and hopefully with veterans. And you can head over to our website to register, WAAYTV.com. Just click on this story. Well, happening now, a local veteran is celebrating his birthday.
Yeah, James Minor turns 100 years old, get this, on July 4th. So that's 2 big old birthday celebrations there. One for him, one for our country. Right now, the Guntersville VA Clinic holding a celebration in his honor. Minor served in World War II from 1942 to 1945. And of course, we are working to learn more about that celebration and how it turns out. We can't wait to tell you about it later today.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. The United Launch Alliance is getting ready to launch a mission for the U.S. Space Force.
Yeah, an Atlas V rocket made in Decatur, scheduled to lift off at 5 this evening at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. That mission will feature 2 satellite payloads, and the satellites will actually help Space Force create a global missile warning system. By the way, this is ULA's 94th national security space mission.
Check this out. India launched 3 rockets earlier this morning. A polar satellite launch vehicle lifted off from a space center in southeastern India around 7:30 our time. The mission put 3 satellites in orbit. 2 of them will be used for surveillance. The other will be used for research. Always, even if it's not our launch, it's still cool.
Always exciting.
Okay, so let's get a check of our forecast with Carson Meredith. It is another hot day in North Alabama.
Yeah, we got the 4th of July weekend very close now. And you're talking about be careful.
Yeah, I just want to keep an eye on the skies this weekend, guys. Don't need to cancel any outdoor cookouts or fireworks, nothing like that. Just make sure you have somewhere inside to go to in case one of those pop-up storms pop up where you are this weekend. Right now on the WAAY 31 Skycam network, we are completely dry. Got a mix of sun and clouds, but it is warm. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. And for the 19th straight day, we will be heading for the 90s this afternoon. Again, we're dry on the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. A couple of very, very light showers developing in Tennessee. Those will not impact us later on today. It'll be any storms that bubble up right on top of us later on today. Very similar to what we saw yesterday. It's just a 30% chance, also similar to yesterday. So not everybody's going to see those showers and storms this afternoon. But if you do, might have some heavy downpours that last for 15 to 30 minutes. And it's not out of the question to perhaps see some wind gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour. Not expecting much in the way of severe weather, though. Otherwise, our forecast highs again in the lower 90s, down to 81 by 7 o'clock this evening. Storms should be winding down once we lose that heat of the day. And we will be down into the mid-70s, easy for me to say, by 10 o'clock tonight. But when you factor in that humidity that's starting to build back into North Alabama, it's tolerable today, but it's going to feel more like 99 degrees this afternoon. So stay cool, stay hydrated. Make sure you're taking breaks inside with that heat that is going to be with us, unfortunately, for quite some time. So here we go with future radar. Note the time. This is around 1:30, 2 o'clock this afternoon. We're starting to see some of those downpours developing along the I-65 corridor. Those downpours will continue through the rest of your Thursday afternoon. Again, nothing too terribly widespread throughout the day today. If you were watching our morning newscast, we were talking about perhaps a cluster of showers and storms developing during the Friday morning commute. That's not necessarily a guarantee anymore. Having said that, we'll have that small chance for an isolated shower tomorrow morning. Going through the afternoon, that rain coverage is a bit higher tomorrow. It's a 40% chance as opposed to that 30% chance we've been contending with the last couple of days. Storms wind down once we get past sunset tomorrow night, and we'll do it all over again every single day for your 4th of July weekend. Just a 30% chance though, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So like I mentioned a moment ago, you can still have your plans outside, no problem. Just make sure you have some shelter to go to in case one of those storms pops up where you are. Temperature staying in the low to mid 90s for those highs, and overnight lows in the low 70s. Rainfall forecast, we are going to get some beneficial rain, but not enough to end our drought concerns. Around a quarter to half inch expected. You see those blue colors in Jackson and DeKalb County. That's where we might get closer to 1 inch of rainfall over the next 7 days, and goodness knows we need the rain. New drought monitor update came down this morning. You notice parts of Mississippi and even here in North Alabama in that tan shade. That means we are now in a moderate drought. Unfortunately, we are witnessing some rapidly developing drought conditions across much of the southeast. And as you look at the 7-day, yes, we have those chances for pop-up storms each day, but I'm afraid we're not looking at a soaking rain that would end that drought anytime soon. Something to keep a close eye on as we head into July.
All right, thank you so much, Carson. Well, scientists helping you stick to your diet.
Yeah, the new discovery that could be a game changer, pointing you toward healthier eating. Welcome back, everybody. We saw breaking news just into our newsroom. In the last 10 minutes, Huntsville police have identified the shooting victim from earlier this morning, a shooting that happened at a Marathon convenience store on University Drive. Now, investigators say Bill Clark died after he was shot. Police arrested Abraham Durham and charged him with murder for that shooting. They believe that shooting stemmed from some kind of argument over property. They haven't broken that down for us exactly what kind of property they were arguing about. But those are the identities of both the victim and now the accused shooter charged with murder in that case.
Of course, we hate reporting on any violence, but it is good to know that that doesn't
Always
seem
good
like
to
a
know.
random act of violence,
Yes.
seem like an isolated incident. All right, well, happening today, some of the country's best college golfers are teeing it up in Decatur.
As the second round of the Dyken Spirit of America Golf Tournament at Burning Tree Country Club. Now, Decatur native Riley Heath is the leader after day one. He says it means a lot, especially since he grew up going to that very tournament.
Out of all the tournaments I play in, this isn't necessarily the biggest one I play in, but for me, this is the most important one because, you know, I'd almost say this tournament is what got me into golf because I grew up out here and I'd come out here and watch the older guys and I always thought they were so cool, so to be able to be here is awesome.
Well, tee time starts at 7 o'clock this morning, so it's going on right now throughout the day. Scientists say they have, brace yourself for this, found a way to help us all avoid that extra cookie. Considering I had 2 at lunch yesterday, I need the help.
Or the extra scoop of mac and cheese.
Yeah, that cookie was good.
He had mac and cheese too yesterday. All right, well, they say new research on the human brain could signal an end to binge eating. They believe they found the signal pathway in the brain that controls food intake. So a particular enzyme plays a critical part in signaling that pathway. So the research team believes an inhibitor for that enzyme could significantly reduce excessive eating.
So where they need to stick the needle to draw that enzyme out of me.
I know.
I want it gone.
Well, you may have heard about meatless hamburgers and plant-based milks, but what about coffee made without coffee beans? The company
Say it ain't so.
Atomo recently scored $40 million to fund their new drink. The company makes beanless coffee with upcycled date seeds that have been soaked in a special caffeine formula. Company leaders say this is a good alternative because coffee plants are susceptible to climate change.
Well, I'm going to drink the coffee from the coffee beans as long as we've got it.
Yeah, I wonder what that tastes like.
Well, a suspect captured after law enforcement officers say he shot 2 deputies.
We'll tell you where he was found, the latest on that investigation coming up.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News with the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Well, thank you for sticking with us for WAAY 31 Midday News on this Thursday. I'm Chris Tatum.
And I'm Megan Reyna. We want to start, of course, with Carson Meredith with the check of our forecast.
Our 4th of July forecast almost now.
I know,
Getting
but
close.
I see behind him, it looks like it's going to be another warm day.
Yep. Yes, it is, guys. This is day number 19 in a row with those highs in the 90s. Not there yet, but I bet you Muscle Shoals, where it's 88 degrees right now, will be at 90 at the next update here in about 30 minutes. Elsewhere, it's 85 here in Huntsville, 83 in Athens, 84 in Decatur. Let's go to Sand Mountain, where it's 84 in Scottsboro, 82 in Fort Payne, also 82 up in Fayetteville, Tennessee, and it's 86 degrees this morning in Moulton. Let's walk you through the rest of the day. Temperature-wise, I have bumped up our forecast high to 92. Still very seasonable for this time of year. Yes, it is warm. Yes, it is humid, but this is exactly where we should be on the last day of June. Another warm evening if you have any Thursday night plans. Still in the mid-80s by 6 or 7 o'clock tonight, dropping into the mid-70s by 9 this evening. This is going to be the big problem over the next really 5 to 7 days, is that humidity really taking control of our weather pattern. You see those darker green colors down near Birmingham? That's that very muggy air that's going to start filtering into North Alabama tomorrow. Not only will that keep things very warm, very humid, but it will keep those thunderstorm chances around as well. Here's your weather headlines. This is going to be a stagnant weather pattern with those spotty storms staying warm, staying muggy. For 4th of July weekend, same story, but it will not be a complete washout. We'll talk more about your holiday weekend and give you an update on the tropics in a few minutes.
All right, Carson, thank you so much. 11:32, and the man Bibb County investigators say shot 2 deputies, critically hurting. One of them is now captured. They arrested 26-year-old Austin Patrick Hall around 8 o'clock this morning in Bibb County. They say Hall shot those deputies after those deputies tried to pull him over for driving a stolen car. Well, that second deputy, we're happy to say, is expected to recover. And fingers crossed and prayers said for that deputy who is in critical condition as well.
Absolutely.
Well, people across Alabama right now showing their support for both of those deputies. Dozens of people, as you see right here, gathered last night, not long after that shooting happened. This is outside the Bibb County Courthouse. They gathered there to pray for those deputies. And we do expect to learn more throughout the day about those deputies and also about that accused shooter.
Well, Judge Katonchi Brown Jackson was sworn into the Supreme Court just minutes ago. We actually brought that to you live here on Midday News. Now, she is the first black woman on the high court, and this does come after Judge Stephen Breyer handed in his official notice to retire. Jackson is now the 116th judge to sit on the Supreme Court.
Just looking at that moment and knowing what a historic moment that is. Look at that.
We got to see that video one more time. That is historic.
Yes.
And definitely going to be talked about, especially as the Supreme Court, made headlines. So we'll see what her legacy is as she joins this court. Well, new at midday, the Supreme Court's term comes to an end today, and the High Court announced a few new rulings this morning. So in a 5-4 opinion, the Supreme Court gave the White House the green light to end the controversial immigration policy. Justices say federal law does not require the Biden administration to send migrants it doesn't detain back to Mexico to await U.S. hearings on their asylum claims. Governor Kay Ivey announced she thinks the ending to that policy will only make immigration from Mexico worse. She says states like Alabama and Texas are continuing to provide resources. She also says she'll demand action from the federal government in response. And a win for the fossil fuel industry. The Supreme Court is ruling the Environmental Protection Agency does not have the broad authority to set national energy policies. The EPA can no longer regulate carbon emissions from existing power plants. The ruling comes as the Biden administration has been pushing for businesses to adopt cleaner energy.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court also issued a ruling that will make it now harder to set up abortion clinics on tribal land in states that ban abortions. The ruling gives states the authority to prosecute non-tribal members who commit crimes on tribal land. Well, previously, only the federal government had jurisdiction to prosecute non-Native Americans for crimes on that tribal land. Well, the next battle over abortion rights appears to be shaping up around abortion pills. One telehealth company says demand has more than doubled for those pills since the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade last week. Some governors already now planning to ban those pills.
We don't believe it should be available because it is a dangerous situation for those individuals.
We have seen an incredible increase of demand, of requests of help. People are really, really scared.
Well, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration says the pills are both safe and effective up to 11 weeks of pregnancy, the first day of a woman's last period.
Governor Kay Ivey getting ready to visit the Rocket City. She will be at the Mazda Toyota manufacturing plant around 1 this afternoon. She'll talk about the largest economic development in our state in the last decade, which of course is that plant. So we'll definitely be there. We'll bring you the latest from her visit.
Well, there is a new development coming to South Huntsville that'll give people more living, eating, and shopping options. It'll sit along Memorial Parkway South near Joe Davis Stadium and will feature apartments, a hotel, stores, and restaurants. Developers hope to finish that project by next spring.
Huntsville Police and Huntsville City Schools are teaming up to launch a back-to-school drive. The drive begins tomorrow. You can drop off supplies at one of these 5 locations listed on your screen. They'll need anything from pencils to binders, and the supply drive helps alleviate some stress on teachers who will need to stock up their classrooms, of course, ahead of the school year. Always good to help out those kiddos. Well, happening today, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg will be in Alabama. He's traveling to Birmingham to highlight new programs under the president's bipartisan infrastructure law. He says the law will help people get to work, school, and services quicker and more affordably. Well, now we are going to go to the latest from the U.S. committee investigating the Capitol riot.
There's been a lot of developments over the past few days as we've seen these hearings play out. And right now we want to get the latest from ABC News about what's happening in that investigation.
The January 6 House Select Committee has issued a subpoena for former White House counsel Pat Cipollone. Sources say he and the committee are currently engaged in negotiations over the terms of his potential testimony. The panel aiming to get him on the record after Cassidy Hutchinson, an aide to former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, testified Cipollone raised concerns that those assisting Donald Trump's march to the Capitol on January 6th would expose them to criminal charges.
Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, "We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable."
Hutchinson saying she was told by Deputy Chief of Staff Tony Ornato that Trump was adamant about heading to the Capitol, even lunging at a Secret Service agent who refused to drive him there.
Did Mr. Engel or Mr. Ornato ever after that tell you that what Mr. Ornato had just said was untrue?
Neither Mr. Ornato nor Mr. Engel told me ever that it was untrue.
But some agents are now anonymously refuting Hutchinson's testimony that Trump assaulted anyone during that drive and say they're willing to testify under oath against the allegations. In a new statement, Hutchinson says she stands by all of her testimony. The committee's top Republican, Liz Cheney, also has no doubts.
I am absolutely confident in her credibility. I'm confident in her testimony.
During an exclusive interview with ABC's John Carl, Cheney was asked about her charge that some witnesses may have been tampered with.
It's something that people should be aware of. It's a very serious issue, and I would imagine the Department of Justice would be very interested in.
Cheney says the Select Committee may make a criminal referral to the Justice Department, recommending people they think should be prosecuted for witness intimidation and tampering. M. Wynn, ABC News, Washington.
Well, 2 more people are now dead from heat exhaustion after crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in a trailer.
The people now charged in that incident.
Welcome back, everybody. 11:42 right now. 2 more people dead from heat exhaustion after recently crossing the U.S.-Mexico border and later dying in a trailer. That brings the total number of people who now died in that trailer to 53. Investigators found that trailer earlier this week in San Antonio, Texas. Nearly 40 others rescued from that trailer, recovering in hospitals. Well, Texas leaders now sending teams to help check trailers crossing the U.S. and Mexico border, although they have not said for certain that this trailer actually came across the border. Not clear if those people might have crossed the border and then boarded the trailer on this side.
Right, very
certainly
moving
a lot of questions
investigation.
we're looking to get more information about there. Either way, it's a tragic story. 53 people died from heat exhaustion inside that trailer. Well, this man now facing charges in connection with that smuggling incident. 45-year-old Homero Zamorano Jr. charged with involvement in human smuggling that resulted in those 53 deaths. This is his mugshot from a previous arrest back in 2020. Also, Christian Martinez is also charged with one count of conspiracy to transport undocumented migrants, resulting in death, also associated again with those 53 people found dead inside that trailer.
Well, new at midday, Pfizer is seeking FDA approval for its COVID antiviral pill Paxlovid. The company submitted its new drug application today. Right now, it's only authorized for emergency use. Paxlovid is used to treat people 12 and older with mild to moderate COVID symptoms who are at risk of developing more severe symptoms. Well, health leaders want you to get a test before you gather with your family or friends for this 4th of July. The state health department says 1 out of 4 tests are coming back positive right now. They say getting the COVID vaccine might be the best way to protect yourself, or maybe even the booster if you already have those first round of shots.
We do feel that even though our vaccination rates are not where they need to be, vaccinated people are less likely to have severe illness and hospitalization, even if they do contract COVID.
The state health department also recommends you take advantage of at-home tests. Get tested as soon as you start to feel any symptoms, but also, again, maybe to prepare for that 4th of July celebration, just make sure you're not spreading it unknowingly. Well, it could soon be easier to get around in the water.
One company is working to make its boats faster while cutting emissions. Welcome back, everybody. 11:47 right now. 20 goats from an upstate New York farm eating their way through Riverside Park in Manhattan. Maybe just another meal for the goats, but the Park Conservancy says it helps them eliminate invasive species safely and without harsh chemicals. Look at those little guys. They are chowing down. So 4 of those goats will actually stay through the end of summer. The rest will actually go back home. See what I did there?
I think you did that better than I could have done.
They're cute little guys, for sure. So a Swedish startup is working.
Okay?
Oh no, I was trying to figure out what I was saying. A Swedish startup is actually working on a flying boat ferry to make water transportation easier.
You're looking at it right there. Company leaders say the battery-powered boats cut commute times and cut emissions. The boat uses hydrofoils. They are wing-like structures attached to the underside of a boat's hull to essentially lift the boat out of the water without creating wake. It makes boats faster and more efficient. I love boats.
Wow. Next thing you know, we'll have those at HydroFest.
I know, right?
That'll be pretty cool,
how fast
won't it?
those go. But they won't cause that crazy, the big effect
ripple,
of the
yeah.
ripple. Okay, Carson, people
Yes.
probably going to get out in the water this weekend, but they need to be careful because of those pop-up storm chances.
Maybe they'll see some goats if they're out at a state park, right, Tatum?
You know what? I thought those goats were awfully cute.
They were cute. I love goats.
You know what? I'd like to get a couple in my backyard right now. I don't know if my dog would like the goats, but...
Well, you do have a zoo over there, don't you?
I do have a zoo.
might as well add a few.
Might as well add some more already. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about the weather here. We're talking about those highs in the 90s once again today, 92 here in Huntsville. Today, counting our forecast, it's going to happen. We're going to hit the 90s today. It'll be 19 straight days that we've had high temperatures in the 90s in North Alabama. That is the longest streak we have seen since 2017. So it's not unheard of to have this kind of a long streak of the 90s, but unfortunately, unfortunately, there's not much relief in the way as far as cooling us down or even drying us out either. Right now on the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network, 99% of us are dry. There's a couple of very light showers trying to get going in Lincoln County and Franklin County, Tennessee, and a lot of us will stay dry all day. This is going to be very similar to what we saw yesterday with some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms developing throughout the afternoon during the peak heat of the day. 92 is that forecast high, like we talked about. If you're going to be out at the pool, if you're going to be out on the lake this afternoon, watch the skies. If you see lightning, if you hear thunder, just make sure you head off inside and get offshore if you can. Here we go with future radar. This is 1:30 this afternoon. A few of those pop-up showers and storms developing right on top of us, but once we lose that peak heat of the day, those storms will start to wind down. There is a chance for an isolated shower or two by 6 o'clock Friday morning, but most of us will remain dry for the morning commute tomorrow. We had some concern this morning that we could be dealing with heavy rain tomorrow morning. That no longer appears to be the case. But you do notice tomorrow afternoon that thunderstorm coverage is actually a bit more widespread. And with any of these storms, by the way, for today, tomorrow, or the holiday weekend, we're not expecting severe weather, but we could have heavier downpours that could cause some ponding on the roads and perhaps some gusty winds around 30 to 40 miles per hour as well. So same story for tomorrow afternoon. Once we lose the heat of the day, we'll start to dry things out, and then we'll do it all over again every single day this weekend. But it's just a 30 to 40% chance on any given day. So no day is going to be a washout, but like I mentioned, we could have some heavier rain and gusty winds with the strongest storms. You notice each day in our holiday weekend forecast, those storm chances peak during the afternoon. We lose the heat of the day, we dry things out, and we do it all over again the next day. As far as any relief or any breaks in the summertime weather pattern, well, nothing like that is expected anytime soon. Let's give you an update on the tropics. Still watching potential tropical cyclone 2. That is a very long name to say that this will likely become a tropical storm during its life cycle, but it hasn't just yet. Still expected to become tropical storm Bonnie later on today. That's our only main area of concern. There is a disturbance near the Texas coastline going to bring a lot of rain to Corpus Christi, Galveston, Houston over the next couple of days. 40% chance of that becoming an actual tropical storm. Watching this one system also out in the Atlantic, just a 10% chance. We're not too worried about that system, but it's just a reminder that hurricane season is just getting started. 7-day forecast looks like this. Highs in the low to mid 90s for the most part, with that 30 to 40% chance for a few pop-up storms each day. Overnight lows also seasonable in the low 70s.
The federal government coming after TikTok.
Why the FCC wants Apple and Google to make that social media app disappear from their stores.
Welcome back. We have breaking news just into the WAAY 31 newsroom. This woman, Faith Kemp, is charged with chemical endangerment of a child homicide. The Morgan County Sheriff's Office says she used meth while pregnant before giving birth to a stillborn child back in May.
Heartbreaking. Well, the Federal Communications Commission going after the social media app TikTok.
The agency is asking Google and Apple to remove TikTok from their app stores. In a letter, an FCC member accuses the app's parent company of accessing user data, that is. Apple and Google would have to voluntarily comply with the request since FCC has no jurisdiction over internet-based services. I don't know if they're going to comply with that.
Well, I don't know either, but I love this story.
You do? Okay, we can move on.
Star of Broadway's Hamilton and Huntsville native Michael
WAAY.
There you go.
WAAY is stepping into a new role.
But I always mess his name up. So anyway, he's going to actually play Nelson Mandela in the world premiere of the new musical Mandela in London. He actually attended the Academy of Academics and Arts and also Lee High School. He graduated from University of Alabama in 2013 and first black actor to play Hamilton. By the way, Mandela opens November 9th.
Carson.
Let's give you one last check of that 7-day forecast. Well, it's kind of monotonous. Highs in the low 90s, pop-up storms each afternoon. Not a washout for your 4th of July weekend, but just keep an eye on the skies.
All right, thanks so much for joining us. 24/7 coverage you can count on, WAAYTV.com.
Why don't you take us all the way home?
We'll see you again at 4 with our next newscast. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great lunch.